Was Rick Harrison secretly dragged from his pawn shop to prison overnight, or did the internet just sell us its biggest hoax yet? For anyone who hasn't been following the drama, Rick Harrison is best known as the face of Pawn Stars, the hit History Channel show that turned a Las Vegas pawn shop into a pop culture landmark. But in late March 2025, social media lit up with shocking claims. Rick had supposedly lost everything overnight. TikTok videos with millions of views claimed he was facing a life sentence. YouTube thumbnails screamed about seized assets and family betrayal, while some articles hinted that Pawn Stars itself was on the verge of collapse. But was any of it true? Before we get to the real story, let's look at how these rumors spiraled out of control and why so many people were convinced Rick Harrison's empire had crumbled overnight. The internet meltdown. Viral rumors spread like wildfire. It all started in the last week of March 2025. Out of nowhere, TikTok feeds and YouTube homepages were flooded with sensational headlines. Rick Harrison sentenced to life. One viral video claimed to show breaking news footage of Rick in handcuffs being led into a courtroom. Another threw up a fake screenshot of court documents alleging massive financial fraud. Within hours, the hashtags Rick Harrison and hashtag Pawn Star Scandal were trending on Twitter and Reddit, with thousands of users speculating about what could have gone wrong. By early April, the story had taken on a life of its own. YouTube creators cranked out reaction videos dissecting every rumor, while TikTok edits dramatically set alleged evidence to ominous music. Reddit threads with titles like "What Happened to Rick Harrison?" drew hundreds of comments, some claiming insider knowledge, others spinning conspiracy theories about hidden assets or family betrayals. The reason it all gained so much traction was simple. Rick Harrison wasn't just another reality star. Pawn Stars had been a TV staple for over a decade, and viewers felt like they knew him personally. Add to that the very real tragedy of Rick losing his son Adam in January 2024, and a widely publicized family lawsuit in 2022, and suddenly, the wildest claims didn't seem so far-fetched. The most shocking claims about Rick Harrison, the life sentence story. The rumor that started it all claimed Rick Harrison had been convicted of trafficking looted artifacts and money laundering, with some posts alleging a life sentence had already been handed down. TikTok edits surfaced with dramatic captions like "Pawn Stars star taken down" and grainy clips that supposedly showed Rick being led into a courtroom in cuffs. These were often taken from unrelated news footage, but the fast-moving format of TikTok made them look real enough for casual viewers to believe. As the story spread, another layer of drama was added. Claims that Rick's entire business empire had collapsed overnight. Viral posts alleged the Pawn Stars shop was shuttered, assets were frozen, and bank accounts drained by federal investigators. Fake screenshots of court documents circulated on Twitter and Reddit, purporting to show financial seizure orders. Reaction videos on YouTube dissected these documents frame by frame, treating them as bombshell revelations. Then came the claims about betrayal inside the Harrison family. TikToks began popping up with captions like "Mother exposes son's crimes," citing Rick's real-life 2022 lawsuit with his mother, Joanne, as proof of family tensions boiling over. Some posts even alleged family members testified against him in secret hearings, turning a civil dispute into the centerpiece of a supposed criminal case. Adding fuel to the fire, fans noticed Rick hadn't posted much on Instagram during this time. Almost overnight, "Where is Rick Harrison?" became a trending question. Conspiracy threads suggested he was in hiding or already behind bars, which made the silence feel suspicious, even though there was no real evidence. Finally, rumors claimed the History Channel had quietly cut ties with Rick and was planning to cancel Pawn Stars altogether. Some posts claimed network insiders had leaked the decision after his legal troubles, creating panic among longtime fans who thought the show was ending for good. By early April, these stories had merged into one chaotic narrative: a fallen TV star, a crumbling empire, and a family torn apart, all spreading unchecked across social media. Why people believed the rumors. Part of what made the rumors so convincing was that they weren't starting from scratch. There were real events in Rick Harrison's life that made the lies feel believable. In 2022, Rick's mother, Joanne, filed a lawsuit over business ownership of the Pawn Stars empire, accusing him of coercing her into signing over control while she was hospitalized. That case was widely reported at the time, so when viral posts claimed family members testified against him, people connected it to the real-life legal battle without questioning it further. Then there was the tragedy of January 2024, when Rick's son, Adam, passed away from a fentanyl overdose. Fans knew Rick was grieving, and his reduced public appearances since then made it easier for people to believe rumors about him going silent or disappearing. On top of that, Rick himself didn't immediately address the gossip. There were no quick denials, no press statements, just a flood of unverified posts filling the void. And on the internet, silence often gets interpreted as guilt. Finally, celebrity scandals have always been clickbait gold. When a public figure faces personal or legal drama, people are quick to assume the worst. For many, the idea of a TV star secretly losing everything overnight was simply too juicy to fact-check before sharing. The turning point: fact-checkers step in. But then, the first cracks in the story began to appear. By mid-April 2025, several fact-checking outlets had started digging into the wild claims about Rick Harrison. Lead Stories published a detailed report confirming there were no arrest records, no court filings, and absolutely no evidence of any criminal charges against him. Yahoo News followed with its own piece debunking the viral videos, pointing out that the so-called courtroom footage was recycled from unrelated news clips. Reporters even checked with Las Vegas courts and federal databases. Nothing. No cases, no warrants, no asset seizures. The rumors were collapsing under their own weight, but not before they had already racked up millions of views across TikTok, YouTube, and Reddit. This was the turning point. What had looked like a dramatic fall from grace was suddenly exposed as pure internet fiction. Yet the fact that so many people had believed it showed just how quickly false stories can spiral when nobody steps in early to set the record straight. Up next, the real story behind Rick Harrison's life during all this chaos and why the truth looked nothing like the viral headlines. The real story behind the drama. When the dust finally settled, the truth was far less dramatic than the internet made it out to be. First, and most importantly, Rick Harrison was never arrested, charged, or convicted of any crime. There were no secret trials, no asset seizures, no police investigations lurking in the background. In fact, throughout the weeks when rumors claimed he was in hiding, Rick continued making podcast appearances and even showed up at public events tied to Pawn Stars and his Las Vegas business ventures. The supposed disappearance was nothing more than a social media mirage. Some of the confusion came from a real legal dispute dating back to February 2022, when Rick's mother, Joanne Harrison, filed a civil lawsuit over ownership of the Pawn Stars companies. She alleged she was coerced into signing over control of family assets while recovering from a coma and accused Rick of withholding financial information. It was a bitter family matter, but it never involved criminal accusations. The case revolved around accounting and ownership rights, not the kind of charges the rumors implied. Adding to the emotional backdrop was the tragic death of Rick's son, Adam, in January 2024 from a fentanyl overdose. Rick spoke about the loss in interviews months later, admitting he constantly replayed what-ifs in his head and struggled with grief every day. The internet interpreted his quieter public profile after Adam's death as evidence of something sinister, when in reality, it was the natural reaction of a grieving father stepping back from the spotlight. As for why Rick didn't immediately jump in to crush the rumors, the answer seems simple. He had more important things on his mind. Dealing with family loss, managing a long-running business, and continuing work on Pawn Stars likely left little time or interest for addressing internet gossip. What looked like silence to some was probably just Rick focusing on real life while the online storm raged on without him. How Rick responded to the rumors. Rick Harrison never launched a public crusade to fight the rumors. Instead, he chose a subtle approach. Business as usual. While social media speculated about arrests and secret trials, Rick kept running the gold and silver pawn shop in Las Vegas, filming new Pawn Stars episodes and making scheduled public appearances. In interviews during this period, Rick spoke openly about his family life and the grief of losing his son, Adam. In early 2024, he discussed how the tragedy affected him personally and how he was slowly moving forward. Notably, he never wasted time addressing the internet hoaxes directly. By refusing to give the rumors oxygen, Rick signaled they weren't worth his attention. When asked about Pawn Stars, he focused on upcoming episodes and business plans rather than the viral gossip swirling online. Fans eventually realized that if Rick had truly been in the kind of legal trouble the rumors suggested, there's no way he'd be casually promoting his show or appearing at events. His calm, calm, steady presence was the clearest rebuttal possible, without him ever needing to say a word about the lies themselves. The what-if scenario. Just for a moment, imagine if the internet rumors had actually been true. Pawn Stars without Rick Harrison? The thought alone would have flipped the History Channel upside down. Fans would tune in expecting gold appraisals and quirky negotiations, only to find Chumlee suddenly running the shop, turning it into a meme factory, while haggling over vintage video games and candy machines. Corey Big Hoss might try to keep things professional, but everyone knows Chumlee's antics would steal the show, and probably the safe keys too. Meanwhile, Rick could have been busy behind bars writing his tell-all memoir, Jailhouse Pawn: How I Bargained for My Freedom, packed with tales of wheeling, dealing, and prison cafeteria coffee. The show's spin-off possibilities would have been endless. Pawn Stars, Lockup Edition, featuring Rick appraising cellmates' contraband for commissary credits, practically writes itself. Of course, none of this happened, but for a few wild weeks, the internet had people convinced it might be real, and some fans almost seemed disappointed when the truth turned out to be far less dramatic. In the end, the whirlwind of rumors about Rick Harrison losing everything overnight collapsed under the weight of reality. There was no life sentence, no hidden financial ruin, no secret arrest, just weeks of internet chaos built on fake videos, recycled footage, and clickbait headlines. What actually existed were personal challenges, a civil lawsuit with his mother years earlier, and the heartbreaking loss of his son Adam in January 2024. Through it all, Rick never disappeared. He kept running the gold and silver pawn shop, continued filming Pawn Stars, and honored his son's memory in interviews where he spoke about grief and family, rather than internet gossip. The empire fans thought had crumbled was, in fact, still standing. What are your thoughts on Rick Harrison's drama? Drop a comment below. If you found this interesting, hit like and subscribe for more stories. Thanks for watching.